everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. I'm Bill Pucko, joined by the guys. Tariq, Spence, how you doing?
I don't understand how much Stevie Cohen makes, but I know he's spending a lot of
it. Sure is. Pat Duffy, a Cavaliers jersey. We love this.
Well, we're back. It's Christmas.
Because who doesn't love what? Maroon and gold.
Okay, that burgundy and gold is beautiful. Like World Be Free, Larry Nance right in your head. It's the Shaquille O'Neal throwback burgundy and gold Cavs jersey from like 12 years ago.
How many different versions of Cavs jerseys are there?
There's a ton. I mean, for as bad as the Cavs have been, you guys forget the brilliant uniform history of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I encourage you on this Christmas day, go Google it and have fun with it.
If you want to throw up your Christmas dinner.
I love the Cavs. Doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Pretty bad.
So this was weird, right? Carlos Correa winds up in a Mets jersey less than 24 hours after the Giants would call the press conference to announce his signing. Decided not to due to a medical issue. And it's like, oh my God, what the heck just happened?
Hey, Merry
You're
Christmas.
our Mets guy, so make some sense of this.
I can't, because it's like a Merry Christmas gift. I'm not quite sure what's going on when it comes to the medical condition thing, but it was kind of like that story came out, I went to sleep, and then somehow I woke up like presents underneath my tree, and I had an outfielder we overpaid for and will keep for the next decade. So I'm not quite sure what to make of all this, but that's a lot of chips at the middle of the table for the Mets today.
Yeah, bigger picture, it's one thing to burn money in your backyard. It's another. The bigger picture is like there's other teams involved here, and the disparity between what the Mets are doing now with the top payroll and our Joe Bratt statistical analysis has got the Pittsburgh Pirates down there paying just over for their entire roster what the Mets are going to pay in luxury tax.
That's 4 question marks right now. 2 veterans, obviously, you have with Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. Then you throw on top of this new deal. And, oh, by the way, a pitcher from Japan. We're not sure if he's going to be able to play in Major League Baseball. That's a lot. Like I said, that's a whole bunch of money at the middle of the table for the Mets. I don't know. You better not lose to the Pirates. I tell you that much.
3 quick things that stand out. One, you brought up the Pirates thing. Next year, the Mets luxury tax will be 3 times what the Pirates are spending on their entire roster. Let me say that again. The tax they're paying on their contracts will be 3 times what every player in Pittsburgh is making. 2, why not have Major League Baseball with just 8 teams? And I'm not even exaggerating, because there are 8 teams that are going to be competitive based on all the money they're spending.
Relegation.
Here's the thing.
I was going to relegation.
If I'm a fan in Pittsburgh, why am I going to a game? Why am I spending money to go to a game and cheer for my team and buy a Willie Stargell jersey?
They have no chance of winning the whole thing, but I don't know with the new schedule how many times they play it. They'll beat the Mets 4 to 6 times this year. It's just the way of the game.
I listen, I'm not even off of Bill. I think it's a pretty decent idea. Why not relegation? I mean, no, I'm dead serious. I mean, you're basically paying for the Yankees to come to town, or the Mets come to town, or the Dodgers come to town to see your team get beat. Why not have a subdivision or a lower division? Maybe build that team up.
But that's
over
the problem,
is
but I'm all in on this.
Yeah.
It's still,
that sounds great.
The biggest crowds in Pittsburgh and Kansas City come to see the Mets and the Yankees when they come to play.
Exactly.
So if you took them off the schedule, I don't know that you're really solving any problems.
But you have a business fan where owners in Kansas City and Pittsburgh, we can talk about other cities, are making money by not spending money, knowing that their entire ballpark is going to be filled with opposing fans. How do you do this?
Is it sustainable? The bottom line is, any of this sustainable?
Absolutely not. And I will fully admit, I have no understanding of finances, especially my own. However, how, with the money... Baseball, you can make an argument, is the 3rd most popular sport in America on a national level, the NBA coming up the way that it has. How are you spending billions of dollars on contracts when last year you were locking out the players because you say they were asking for too much? And think about this. The NFL they voluntarily went away from a nonprofit organization a couple of years ago so they wouldn't have to report how much money they were making. If Major League Baseball is making enough money where they can spend this much on players, what is the NFL bringing in?
I have no idea, but streaming has all changed. You see that new deal with the NFL with the I think it's Sunday Ticket, maybe going over to Google or YouTube or whatever.
$2.5 billion a year.
It's the money is moving.
But the NFL prints money as fast as baseball burns it.
This is true. A longer season, though. I mean, half of it, 80 games at home. I mean, I need a spreadsheet. I think to Duffy's point, I need a spreadsheet to see how it all goes and where it all goes.
Its bottom line is this. Baseball, Major League Baseball is a Ponzi scheme, and there is going to be an insane Netflix documentary in about 20 years when some reporter in Kansas City stumbles upon some information and blows everything up.
I want to be around to see that.
It is not a Ponzi scheme.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
No,
Explain it to me.
No.
You had a team that was ready to spend literally $750 million on 3 players this offseason.
And guess what? You know what's funny? What if they don't win?
Exactly.
That's great.
No, but okay.
And this is it's not a perfect roster.
No, it's not. And you know who knows what could go on throughout an entire Major League Baseball season. Obviously, everybody was rooting against the Astros. Who wins it all? The Astros, with all these big other payroll teams, including my Mets, at the top of the list.
This is the Rochester Press Box talking Buffalo Bills next.
Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. If you like to travel like I do, you'll love my travel books. Buy one, get one free right now. Email me, let me know what you need. MikeTheGetawayGuy@gmail.com. I'll even sign it. MikeTheGetawayGuy@gmail.com.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda for 3 generations and celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. So, the Buffalo Bills, it seems to me like, it's because it's the team we follow. Oh, they're not blowing teams out anymore. It's worried about, Josh and this and all the rest of it. Every team in the league, especially at this point of the season where it's really become a grind, is going through the same thing, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But look, this is how you have to start winning towards the end of the season. And if you look back, you're right about other teams, because Kansas City had back-to-back weeks against bad teams, Denver and Houston, where they almost, their pants at the end of the game. If you look at the Bills the last couple of seasons, with the exception of the last game, it becomes tighter because, these guys are all professionals, offensive, defensive coordinators. They figure out ways to slow you down. What is promising to me with the Bills, making me feel more comfortable, is when the chips are down in these games towards the end, no matter who they're playing, they take full control. The Bills scored twice on 2 final drives, missing their starting center against Miami in a game that was not going their way. That last drive, they clock drove 6.5 minutes to get down to the 2-yard line to kick that game-winning field goal. And they've done that multiple times against Detroit. They did it against Baltimore. They've done it against Miami. When they need points to walk away and go home and control the end of a game, they are managing to wrap their arms around that other team and just strangle the life out of them.
It took 1 year, or probably a little less than a year, for Josh Allen to be the man to have the ball at the end of the game to win the game. I think that was a couple of questions 2 years ago on him. He went out and won that game, and against a very close Miami team, which I hope you do not play again, because it doesn't matter if it's hot or it's cold. Those games are close. Those games are close. I don't know why he's even gesturing, because he knows full well he should have won the game in Miami and did it. Did win the game in Buffalo and almost lost it. So it's a totally different situation. I will say this, though. The Buffalo Bills team, they are riding so high right now. To see that their opponents, the Jets and the Patriots, take losses the way they did, especially, I hate to say this, Bill, especially against the Raiders last week. My goodness, that had to hurt with the Mac Jones mush before the end of the
Rochester's
game.
own Chandler Jones.
Oh, my goodness. That was terrible.
Well, I think it's only like 3 weeks ago that I did my unfinished business on the worst play in the history of the NFL. And I find myself already now having to update it.
I do find it. I know this is a week ago, but Bill Belichick was asked in the post-game press conference of that game, why didn't they try and throw a Hail Mary? And he said, Mac Jones doesn't have the arm to throw that far, which is weird because it seems like Jacoby Myers did. He chucked that thing pretty good right towards Chandler Jones.
Look, 15 down, 2 to go. Where are they in your mind?
I think the Bills are as good as they've been the last couple of years. I think the Bills are evolving as a team, right? You can go blow teams out. If you can't flick that trigger a certain week, it's not going to work for you. I like the ball control. I like the defense playing the way that they are. I like the way that things are going. Everybody has a job. Everyone is doing their 111th. And if an emergency shows up, you break glass, hit the button, and let Josh take off running.
He is that leader. He is that guy you want with the football at the end of the game. Obviously, you can keep your eye on the Bengals. As I said before, a couple of weeks ago, that's a team trying to fight for position where they want to be in the AFC. And don't forget, before you end the season, put a nice little exclamation part on the New England Patriots before that season is done going forward. So I think that there's a lot that goes into this team offensively. I like the way they're running the ball. I like the way they're mixing it up. But when the money is on the line, I'm not betting against 1-7.
Yeah, because you brought it up, you kind of both touched on it. Is it better now for the Bills to be playing close games, or? And I'm sort of losing the question. The comments about this team coming in is that they were losing all their close games.
Sure, absolutely.
Now they're playing more close games, but they're winning them.
I think you could put it in a nutshell like this. Bills-Miami game a week ago. The difference between those two teams is the Bills won by any means necessary, and that shows the championship caliber veteran team, whereas the Dolphins are a good team that put up stats on a piece of paper, you're impressed by what they can do, and they never go anywhere. There's the difference, and that's why I like the way the Bills are playing right now.
You've done the whole segment without bringing up the running game. You usually shout about the running game.
But they look like a championship Super Bowl offense, I will say that.
Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like it or not is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Last time around, I brought you many. Today, I'm bringing you more food finds in Boston's North End. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. Come along for the ride. It's my latest. Look for the getaway guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box, our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Sport Clips. Where the MVP experience is better than ever, Sport Clips, the pros in men's hairstyling. No appointments needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. Tariq, I know because you were texting like a madman.
Yes.
Like it or not, the World Cup soccer.
I'm done. I'm telling you right now, I've moved over. There's a brand new sport I'm in love with. Let's put it this way. At the World Cup, even if you weren't even interested, and I did text everybody in a group text, this was a show where both stars showed up in the final game and gave us an unbelievable performance. Mbappe and Lionel Messi, both scoring goals. I believe between the two of them, they scored like either 4 or 5 of the goals in that game. It was unbelievable to watch, and then to go into penalty kicks. I get it. A lot of people don't like penalty kicks, whatever. It was so much fun. I need a Premier League team. I'm asking again the people, tell me who I should follow, because I couldn't believe it. I don't know what to do this week. What was I going to do on Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? No sports.
It's got some momentum. It's coming to the United States in 4 years.
No, I hear you. No, there's probably a lot of momentum. I hear, from what I understand, and I've been hearing this since 1985, that soccer is right on the edge of being America's sport. So watch out, guys.
I don't think so.
Also, vote Mondale.
I don't think so. I don't believe that it's America's sport, but I can see why people love it. I can see the passion. You saw the party for Argentina. That was insane. We're talking to win the cup and then to actually parade with the cup. The city shut down. People are crying. I felt terrible. My 10-year-old, my 11-year-old, and the entire country of France were all crying at the same time. It's amazing. Mbappe should have a statue.
As long as the best athletes in America are playing football and basketball, it will never be what people want it to be. And that's unfortunate, but it's true.
But guess what?
To your point about all the goals scored, there's one rule change that I absolutely need, and it won't happen.
What's that?
Is when you get brought down in the penalty area for a penalty kick, the guy who got brought down should be taking the kick.
I agree.
Because you talk about all these goals scored by, Messi and Mbappe and all this, it's half of them or more than half of them are because they're the designated penalty kick guy.
I understand that, and I would
Is that
like
the
that.
official name, by the way? Designated penalty kick guy.
It's the star of our team, and guess what?
You can tell how deeply rooted I am in soccer.
But it's great. I'm a novice. I'm not the biggest in the world. I got to learn the sport like I would anything else, but that's fine. I'm willing to do that. I just get it. I get the passion behind it.
Like it or not, Cale Makar and what he did waving off a tripping penalty, I don't understand.
Okay, so real quick, for those who didn't see it, because I know we're running out of time here, Cale Makar blows a tire, blows out an edge coming around the corner. They called it trip because there was a stick on his hip. He goes to the ref. He goes, no, man, I just tripped. They wave the penalty off. And this has become like Watergate-level scandal in the NHL, and to the point where Cale Makar, in his post-game press conference, said, I'm never going to do it again. I feel bad that I let my team down. Like,
it's a great bit, but I don't get how the referees can well, okay, because you said, I'll take it back.
Well, I mean, the guy said that it didn't happen, so yeah, that is an interesting point, right? Like, I guess if you don't wave it off, though, you're admitting you were wrong, but you're infallible, which is a problem because I think if there's no tighter relationship, maybe between catcher, umpire, and baseball, than NHL captain and NHL referee or linesman. Like, they have a constant communication all throughout the game. There needs to be a level of respect. I respect the referee for what he did. Jeez. I do not get, it's a game. It's a game, man. Who cares?
The catcher, your catcher-pitcher analogy. You know, catcher catches the ball, umpire calls a strike. The catcher goes, nah, you know what? They're a little outside.
No, you're right.
I take it back.
But we also know that baseball umpires might be the worst human beings on the planet. So, I mean, come on.
Good place to end. Our Like It or Not segment was brought to you by Sport Clips. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Unfinished Business is brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse, your beer destination since 2012. Visit the gift shop, enjoy a tasting at our pilot brewery, and dine at the pub-style restaurant at the Genesee Brewhouse. Unfinished Business, Pat, as always, you start.
The NFL lost a legend this week. Franco Harris passes away at 72 years old, and that is sad in itself. What makes it even more tragic is Franco Harris this weekend was to have his number retired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He passed away just days before. And that man's a legend, not only in the NFL, but in that town. In fact, when you fly into Pittsburgh, you're greeted by his life-size statue catching the Immaculate Reception right in your face. And here's my question. Why are we waiting? 72 years old. That city knows what Franco Harris did for it. That man has meant everything to that franchise. So why did you wait till he was 72 to get rid of the number 32 forever in franchise history? He's not going to be able to be there to enjoy all the adulation. And I'll ask this. If he's not there to do it, what's the point in the first place? We see this all the time in professional sports. In fact, someone Bill talked about a couple of months ago, Buck O'Neil, Negro League baseball player, legend, loved nothing more than going to the ballpark. In fact, I met him several times as a kid where he spent time signing balls with me and talking baseball. He was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame after he died, when all he wanted in the world was to be included with those legends. What's the point of doing it if you're going to wait until they're gone? Why are we waiting? You got 5 years to make it in the Hall of Fame. Put him in. You're going to tell me you can't tell 7, 10, 15 years after someone retires if you're going to get rid of that number out of circulation forever? Do it as soon as you can, because I'd rather see a smile on a man's face holding up his number to never be worn again than his family wiping tears away doing it.
All I want for Christmas is exactly what I have right now. Let's see, the Mets buying more players and a chance in 2023. The Giants maybe even making the playoffs going forward. And then there's my New York Knicks, a total resurgence for this Knicks team. So on Christmas Day, I'm going to sit and enjoy and find out how much money I spent on my family. And it's going to be noon. And I'm going to take on the Philadelphia 76ers and my New York Knicks. That is the greatest Christmas present ever. 3 viable teams at once. I hope I get some Christmas gear that has Knicks on it.
Rarely have two athletes been more closely associated than Louie Orr and Roosevelt Bowie were at Syracuse. The Louie and Bowie Show. They were the foundational pieces to Jim Boeheim's long and successful run as the head coach of the Syracuse basketball team. Bowie was a local kid, grew up in Kendall, where his high school teams went 65-1. The starters played in just over half per game because Coach Dick Reynolds believed the second best team in the Genesee region to his starting 5 with the next 5 off his own bench. Bowie was a senior at Kendall when Syracuse coach Roy Danforth left for Tulane. Boeheim, Danforth's lead assistant, was a candidate to replace him. As the story goes, Boeheim leveraged his recruiting of Bowie and Orr, a high school star at Cincinnati, into the job at Syracuse. Boeheim had an offer to coach at the U of R and told Syracuse if they didn't hire him, he'd go to Rochester and take his top 2 recruits with him. It's hard to imagine Louie and Bowie, the Louie and Bowie Show, playing at the U of R, but Syracuse took the bait. The 2-star athletes went east, and the rest is history. Orr and Bowie played 4 years at Syracuse. 1976 to 1980, they went 118 to kickstart Boeheim's career. They played in 4 NCAA tournaments. As seniors, they closed Manley Fieldhouse and prepared to move into the newly built Carrier Dome. They were 21-1 when they played their last game at Manley against Georgetown. The Hoyas upset Syracuse 52-50. Orr took the last shot in the building, a 25-footer that missed, called it the lowest point in his career. The two had their numbers retired together in 2015. Bowie's number 50, Orr's 55. Louie played 8 years in the NBA with the Pacers and the Knicks. Went on to college coaching. He was an assistant under Pat Ewing at Georgetown when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Orr died last week at 61. He was remembered by Boeheim as the greatest man I've ever known. He was the best of us. Kind of like his teams. That's Unfinished Business, brought to you by the Genesee Brewhouse, and that is our show. Gentlemen, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody.
Merry Christmas. I'm glad to know that there's some family that's totally sick of each other after all the Christmas Eve and Christmas Day stuff that turned on this TV just so they wouldn't have to speak. And here's our beautiful faces talking to them. Hey, guys. Merry
In
Christmas.
Burgundy. Burgundy is his great color.
Beautiful.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.